You may now take your seat.
Thank you, teacher.
Today, we are going to discuss a short story. Do you have any idea about short story?
None, teacher.
Okay, no. Kindly please read the definition of a short story, Nicole.
A short story is a short work of fiction. Fiction, as you know, is prose writing about imagined events and characters.
Correct. There are 5 elements of a story. The character, the setting, the concept, plot, and the theme. There are 5 elements of a short story. The first one is the character. Kindly read, Laika.
A character is a person or sometimes even an animal who takes part in the action of a short story or another literary works.
Correct. The next one is the setting. Kindly read, Rose Ann.
The setting of a short story is the time and place in which it happens.
Very good. The next one is the conflict. Kindly read, Nicole.
The conflict is a struggle between two people or things in a short story.
Very good. The next one is the plot. Kindly read, Maria.
A plot is a series of events and characters' action that relate to the central conflict.
Good. The next one is the theme. Teresa, kindly read.
The theme is the central idea or belief in a short story.
Very good. So now, I have here the example of a short story. I want you to listen carefully, okay? Listen carefully. Now, I will read the story of the little mermaid named Mary. Mary, the little mermaid, lived in the kingdom of her father located at the bottom of the sea. Her grandmother was taking care of her since her mother died. So, who lived in the kingdom located at the bottom of the sea? Nicole.
Mary.
Very good, Mary. Who's taking care of Mary? Rose Ann.
Her grandma.
Very good, her grandmother. Her grandmother told Mary about life in the surface of the sea. The little mermaid was so interested to see things her grandmother was telling her. Mary had an only dream. It is to see the sun, the stars, the sky, the birds, the ships, and everything that can be seen at the surface of the sea. What Mary wants to see, Roseanne?
Mary wants to see the sky, the sun, the star, the ship, and everything that can be seen.
Very good. So Mary is now prepared to go to the surface of the sea. At last, my dream will come true, she said as she emerged from the water. The night was quiet. There was a moon and lots of stars in the dark sky. Beautiful. There's nothing like this under the sea, she explained. From then on, the little mermaid would visit the surface of the sea. I've already seen the rising and the setting of the sun, Mary told her grandmother. Her grandmother would always remind Mary to be careful, until one night, when the little mermaid saw something amazing. A celebration was held in honor of the prince. For the first time, Mary fell in love. If only she could, how she wished to stay there because of the prince. At around midnight, the weather became bad. It developed into a typhoon. Mary saw with her 2 eyes how the wave tossed the ship and how the prince was thrown off the water. So now, how the prince was thrown off the water?
The prince thrown by the water because of the developed typhoon.
Very good. Mary rescued the prince who took a glimpse of her face before he becomes unconscious. She brought him to the beach and waited for someone to help him. Where did Mary brought the prince?
Mary brought the prince to the beach.
Very good. And waited for someone to help him. Since then, the prince would look for Mary. The little mermaid was also agonizing because she loves the prince very much. So, Mary did love the prince. Okay? Because she loves the prince so much, Mary begged the sea witch to give her a pair of legs. I will grant your request, but you can never be a mermaid again. So, what Mary begged to the sea witch, Jenny May?
Mary begged to the sea witch to have a pair of legs.
Okay, to give her a pair of legs. The prince was happy and excited when she saw Mary. He remembered that it was she who saved him. He brought her to their palace. Mary told the prince who she really is. I've been looking for you. I love you and I want to marry you even if you are a mermaid, the prince said. Mary was so happy. She could not ask for more. She didn't regret swapping her tails with a pair of legs. Meanwhile, the king and her grandmother were also glad for her. They knew very well that the mermaid princess was happy with the prince. So now, I will ask you some questions. What was the story all about again, Miss Andrea?
The story is all about the Little Mermaid.
Very good, the Little Mermaid. Who are the characters of the story, Mary Grace?
The characters in the story are Mary, Prince, and her grandma.
Okay, the characters of the story are Mary, her grandma, and the prince. So now, where was the story happened, Sheila?
The story happened in the ocean and palace.
Very good, to the ocean and the palace. Now, I will ask you, what is the short story? Kindly, please, define what is a short story. Roseanne.
A short story is a fiction work.
Okay, it's a picture nerd. Another, Nicole.
A short story is a literary work.
Okay, very good. So now, what are the 5 elements again? Sheila?
The 5 elements are character, setting, conflict, plot, and scene.
Okay. What is the character again?
Character is a person or sometimes even an animal who takes part in the action of a short story or
Very
other
good.
literary works.
Very good. What is the setting again?
The,
Vina?
the setting of a short story is the time and the place in which it happens.
Okay. The next one. What is again the conflict? Roseanne.
The conflict is a struggle between two people or things in a short story.
Okay, very good. The next one is the plot of the story. What is it? Like a?
A plot is a series of events and characters' action that relate to the central conflict.
Okay. The last one is the theme. What is that? Vina.
The theme is the central idea or belief in a short story.
Okay, very good. Clap your hands.